Hello and welcome to Needing a Meeting. My name is Carol. I'll be your host today. Hello, everybody. I haven't had a chance to look at the chat, and the first few chats don't show up for me in Restream, so pardon me while I hit up YouTube here and hope that it doesn't play me. Hey, Seventh Son. Kristen, I assume that means you're here. I'm going to, like I said, the first few comments, for some reason, that's been a recent Restream thing. I haven't reached out to them about fixing that. Let's see here. Here we go. And what do we got here? Hopefully. Oh, wow. You guys have been at it. Hello, Matrix Rabbit. Tongue tire. Hello, Gypsy Daisy. Hello, Heather. Good to see you. Good to see you guys. Seventh Son, Kristen Melinda. Good. My other's keeper. Good to see y'all. How's everybody doing? Hi, Sandy Wandy. Woo. So, anyway, hi, Ben Bacon Bits. I will most certainly drop the link. Would love to. All righty. There's the link. Okay. See you in a bit. Oh, okay. Cosmic. Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Doing okay. Doing okay.
I'm up in time today.
It's cold here today, very cold, and it's going to get down below freezing tonight. So, yeah, winter strikes again.
Yeah, well, it's cold for us here. It's raining. So it's cold if you go in the rain.
Ben, what's up?
How you doing?
Good. Can't hear you very well. Let's see if I can turn you up.
So how's that bridge?
Hey, Tara. Good to see you.
Hi, nice to
Hi,
see you. Hey, everyone. Hey, Cosmic. Ben.
Hello, Zelda.
Here we go. How you doing?
Yeah. Yeah. How's anybody doing?
Doing
I've been watching
okay.
that bridge.
Right on.
Go ahead,
You know that
Christy.
bridge?
Yes.
Yeah, I've been watching the bridge. It was pretty devastating.
Yes.
What happened?
Yeah. Oh, the Baltimore Bridge?
The Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore, which is a main bridge into the city, and it's long, got hit by a cargo barge, a humongous cargo barge. The surveillance footage, they got it from somewhere that had a camera on the bridge.
You can actually
And
watch
just
the bridge all the time.
just before it hit, the power, you could see that the power went out on the barge. I mean, it went completely dark. And then when the electricity came back on, there was smoke coming off of it. I don't know if it was out of a pipe or what, but then seconds later, it struck one of the legs that hold the bridge up, and the whole thing just collapsed.
Oh my God. Where is this?
Baltimore.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow, that's tragic. Is everybody okay?
Well,
the only people on the the only people on the bridge were repair people, because it was like 1:30 in the morning. So I saw a couple of cars go down pretty slowly. So I'm hoping they were able to get out, because they went down with the bridge that I saw, because I watched it over and over again, just looking for the cars. And so they kind of look like they went down pretty slowly with the bridge. So hopefully they were able to get out, because they were on top rather than under the bridge.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure that that's the only thing I've been waiting for, to see that everyone survived. One person on the barge got injured. I did see that. I've been watching it. I've been watching the live. and the boat and everything. Yeah, because that's one of my fears too.
Yeah.
I close my eyes when I'm not driving over bridges because I'm like, I got to get to the other side.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Wow.
This is just played into everyone's fear of bridges, but as long as there's no boat going underneath it, I think I'll be right.
My mom was so terrified of bridges that my dad decided to cure her by driving her over the Pontchartrain Bridge in Louisiana because she would hold her breath. He's like, you can't hold your breath for that long.
Well, you'll be surprised how long you can hold your breath if you think you're going to die.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. But yeah, it's like miles long. The Pontchartrain Bridge is.
It looks like it went down so easy, but that
I know.
thing's like 3 football fields long, that boat.
Right.
So.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh. Okay. I was like, wait, I got my microphone and my earbud in, so I'm hoping that I'm good. Are you guys talking about the bridge in Baltimore?
Yes, we are.
Oh my God, my phone freaking blew up this morning and I was sleeping. Princess was like all, nestled in and sleeping. And I'm like, what is going on? And it's all these people. Are you okay? Are you okay? Like, so it's 13 miles from where we are.
Wow.
I guess it just hit one of those main pillars, columns, whatever. Yeah, supports. And that's a big bridge. Like we've driven over that bridge. So I can't imagine, it looked like it was early enough in the morning. Maybe people weren't, like the commute maybe hadn't officially started too much. I mean, so yeah, it was very.
Yeah, there are only service
scary.
vehicles on the. There were only service vehicles on the bridge at the time. You saw one car go over because you go back and see it, like rewind. You saw one car go over.
There were cars moving on it.
Yeah, but if you look at it just before it hits, there's no cars moving. There's just like the cars with those little yellow lights.
Oh,
so
okay.
And it was
terrible.
Like a carrier.
It had to happen. Yeah, well, 3 football fields long. So it's like if it had to happen, at least it happened at the right time, I guess.
Well, not the right time for those workers, though, unfortunately.
No. But I did see some photos of the bridge when it's busy, and you just think, there's no way. If it had to happen, it's better that it happened at the time it did. Not that it had to happen, but I think it's something that couldn't be avoided just from the looking at the boat beforehand. If you can't steer the boat, it's not your fault.
That's right.
So
Ooh.
So,
you know what?
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I have driven over the Coronado Bridge quite a few times. I always liked it. I thought it was a pretty bridge. Bridges don't freak me out.
Yeah.
Usually.
I was watching one of my trusted YouTube sources, and they have a burner phone for the call-ins, and they had a pilot. So there's the captain of the ship, and then leaving the Baltimore Harbor, there's pilots specifically for the Baltimore Harbor. So the pilot gets onto the ship. And then they get off. So a pilot had called in and had said that the smoke that was coming out wouldn't have been an issue with the ship. It would have been them trying to reverse on full speed.
Oh.
And they were just too late recognizing it. And the power going off was them turning it off because their lights on the water would be reflecting and they couldn't see.
So that kind of makes sense.
Yeah. And then the safety measures that are in place, it came in an angle and missed all of those safety measures. So it was just the perfect storm. The perfect storm.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
And those bridges are so.
I was just going to say that carrier, it weighs something like over, it's in the 5-digit ton arena. Anyway.
Yeah, I was going to say when I lived in California, was one of the first times that I ever seen like a drawbridge or carriers that big, because I'd always been landlocked, right? So I remember the first time I seen it, and I just thought, oh my gosh, if this misjudged anything, it would be detrimental. And those bridges are so tall and big, and even here in Maryland, I mean, there's an inlet, so that's what that was. And I feel so bad for the people that are involved with it. Everybody from the people who were on the bridge to the first responders who had to go, deal with it, to the rescue people, to, the people on the boat that were driving the boat, or however you say that. I don't know that you drive a boat, but.
Well, you think that they would have tugboats, because we have, I'm sure that they've got tugboats in those sort of areas, and they help guide the ship generally through things that are like that.
So I didn't see a tugboat.
I didn't see any tugs. No, I didn't see a tug either. But yeah, we do have bridges that go under. What do you call those big boats that people go on? Cruise ships that go under a bridge and all that sort of stuff. I've been under that, and we didn't have a tugboat, but you have like little tugs, sort of, I guess you call them, piloting along with them. So I am surprised that they didn't have tugs, because tugs can generally get in between and push the boat. That's the thing I love about tugboats. They're little mighty little monsters. So but I hope everyone's okay. I have been watching, and I haven't heard of any. I've only heard of the person on the boat, on the cargo ship. So
I want to say, Kristen, first of all, I love Temple Grayson. She is actually a professor at Colorado State University, which is the town that I grew up in. And
she's very good with cows.
Yes. Well, she is the reason that industry was revamped, because she's autistic. And so she redesigned how animals are led to slaughter. I mean, there's really no polite way to put that. But she redesigned how that looked so that it was less scary for the animals and it was more humane. And she is like a huge authority on that. And she is the coolest woman. Like, she is very matter of fact, very just kind of standoffish. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen pictures of her. She's got a very unique look. But, it's really amazing the things that she has come up with. And when we found out my grandson was autistic, I encouraged my older daughter. I'm trying not to say names. I encouraged my older daughter to look into Temple Grayson, but also to look into people like Da Vinci, because without these great thinkers, who thought differently, we wouldn't have the things that we have. And, one of the things that I read was like, Da Vinci was like, what does a bug's tongue look like? Who thinks of that? But, but like, because he thought of that, if you look at everything he invented and came up with in his whole entire life. So I think people like Temple Grayson are extremely encouraging, because it shows that, it can look one way, but it doesn't have to, it can be really positive.
She's also been a really good person as far as women with autism, because we don't present the same as most men with autism. So seeing someone so prominent and so high up, so open about her struggles with autism and all that, and the benefits that autism brings her, has been actually really good, being a person with autism and late diagnosed. So, it's just great. And she's funny as, I watch so many of her things, because she is great, and the way she thinks about stuff is unique. So I just think, if you ever get a chance to watch her in any interviews about children and autism, or cows thing is really cool. I like cows.
I never have been diagnosed officially, but I always did say, why am I the one that's wrong? That isn't thinking right? Why isn't that The system isn't allowing me to think the way I think.
Mhm.
Why is it, in other words, today, probably suspecting that I am somewhat neurodivergent, it's like, why isn't there room for the thinkers that think this way instead of this way? And why is it a disability to think this way instead of this
Right.
way? And
Right.
to
Well, and
process this way instead of this other way.
They call it a disability because it can affect, like, I don't always see it as a disability, but it's a disability when it affects your life in a negative way. But lots of people wouldn't see it as a disability at all. They'll see it as a different ability. They just think differently,
Yeah.
But for some people, it is actually a disability.
well,
but,
yeah, and I think that's a good point. Some people, it really does affect their life in a not so positive way. We did have a neighbor whose daughter was autistic, and she was lower on the spectrum, and she would run out into the road or like try to climb the light poles because she had no fear. And so everybody that lived around we were always really mindful because she did not understand that things would hurt her. And so it was really difficult for her and her parents. And she had to have very strict alarms. And I mean, it looked very different, seeing the two different ends. Am I echoing?
A little bit of an echo.
Slightly.
A little bit? Okay.
It may not be, it may be,
Is that better?
Keep trying.
Is that better? Okay.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting to see the different ends of the spectrum, because I've seen both ends very, very vividly. And, I think I think we were in a generation where things were very streamlined. It was, I mean, if you look of like what we were coming out of, it was the Industrial Revolution. So everything was streamlined. It was like, what's the assembly line? And so I think in some ways it made it easier for teachers to just teach things this way all the time to everybody, but
Like
nobody really, nobody took into account that people learn differently. And, it was like we got, well, the age that we were in, it wasn't about higher thinking. Now that we're in the age of Aquarius, it's about higher thinking. It's about thinking outside of the box. It's about expanding and learning in a different way. But I think if you look at where we came from, we had a lot of wars. We had a lot of, like very mechanical assembly line type things. And I don't think it was until my generation where that kind of started to get broken apart, like Gen X. All of a sudden we were left at home alone. We were left to our own devices. I mean, they had to remind parents it's 10 o'clock. Where are your kids? Like we were the first generation that they did that. So, I think I can understand why it did that. I think it's really unfortunate because I think there were a lot of people that were not given a really fair shake about things, because they didn't fit into the box.
We kind of see, like, because I've got like my best mate, her little nephew, he's quite, he's autistic. He's mostly non-verbal. He does echolalia, so that he repeats whatever you say back to you. But he started going to school, and because he's been around other kids, specific teaching for children like him, he's actually learning a whole bunch of words. He calls me Auntie Christy. He says, Christy needs a cup of tea. And it's like, it's so cute, and it's just amazing how if you just put in the work early, you'd be amazed at what you can achieve. Don't just write these nonverbal kids off as that's it, that's all their life is ever going to be. They need work. They need a whole bunch of work put into them. And it's fun. It's so much fun seeing his little face light up when he's so much fun. His name is Ashton. He's just the sweetest little boy on the face of the planet. And to see where he came, like when I first met him like 3 years ago, wouldn't look at you, wouldn't hug me, all that sort of stuff. Now he hugs me. He wants to make me a cup of tea constantly. And it just shows that the earlier the intervention is, especially for these nonverbal kids or of any problem, they can come far because the brain is malleable, you know?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, there are some big thinkers who have autism. Apparently, Dan Aykroyd, Albert Einstein, Daryl Hannah, which I did not know, Anthony Hopkins, Tim Burton,
Makes sense.
Henry, that's a scientist, Emily Dickinson, Bill Gates, Barbara McClintock, Michelangelo, Sir Isaac Newton, Jerry Seinfeld, I did not know that, Nikola Tesla, Elon Musk.
I love Tesla.
Yeah,
I don't like Musk so much. He keeps using his neuro. Oh yeah, I know the original Nikola Tesla.
Yes.
Musk keeps using his neurodivergence for an excuse to be an asshole.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so it's just like, oh, you know, he said this really terrible thing. Oh, it's because I'm autistic. No, F off, you piece of C. So I'm trying to be better. But yeah, it's just like, I'm autistic. I'm not walking around being a horrible person to everybody. So is my daughter. So is, you know, you just stop blaming being an asshole on whatever you think that you've got. Just claim it. Just say you're an asshole and that's it.
Right. I just want to say, Tara, I love your background.
Thank you.
It's
Thank
really
you.
nice.
Actually,
You're
I
welcome.
took this. I was on mute. I took this photo myself. It's Big Sur.
Ooh. Right on.
Nice. That looks
Yeah.
really
I love it.
good.
That's amazing.
That's
you.
really good.
Thank you. Of course, that horn wants to start going off as soon as I unmute. I unmute to prevent things like that. And then once I unmute, it happens. Go figure. But okay, it's done now. But I love photography. It's a huge hobby of mine that I kind of have gotten away from a little bit, but I've been taking photos here and there lately. I really love it. Makes me happy.
It's good. The lighting and the composition the colors are beautiful.
Yeah.
It's just
You know what
really,
it reminds
really
me
beautiful.
of?
Thank you.
That artist that did the really colorful stuff. What was his name? Maxfield Parrish?
Oh, Kincaid?
No.
Thomas Kincaid? Oh, okay.
Maxfield Parrish, the one from he was the Art Nouveau guy, right?
I'm not sure. I haven't heard of it.
It looks like a Maxfield Parrish. I'm pretty sure I have the name right.
It's a Tara Smiling.
Well, we love it. I think it's beautiful. I didn't know if that was a like where you found it. So that's really cool. It's you took it.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. Thank you.
Awesome.
And I enjoyed it. I think the best photographs are taken when you're really enjoying yourself.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
I love taking photographs, during the golden hours, like early in the morning or late. But this one, it was a little earlier than the golden hour, like 2 hours prior. And it was just so beautiful. And I didn't expect it to come out as beautiful as it did, but the lighting was just spectacular. Maybe it was just that particular day, because I haven't got as lucky as to capture one quite like this, where it just pops. But
it looks like the golden hour type. It's like the golden hour. It's got that golden hour color.
Yeah,
I love taking photos just before sunset.
Yeah. This was just before that, right before golden hour.
Yeah,
I used to.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
You go. No, you go.
No.
I forgot what I said because I was going to say because I read some comments. Happens all the time.
When I lived in Washington State, because I loved it so much, I would make Michael take me out for walks right around the golden hour, because the trees and the water and everything that was there was just so beautiful. It didn't work in Alaska because the sun never set, so you never had that golden hour. And I remember when I was learning.
Do you have like a golden half hour or golden like couple of hours in Alaska when it's you
don't even really get that, because all that it really kind of does is it goes from like being noon to about like 4:30 or 5, but you don't get that warm sunny. It's sunny, but it's not that warm golden light, because it just doesn't. It's not dipping down. I don't know what makes the golden hour golden. I wish I did. Maybe somebody knows, but it doesn't do that because the sun just doesn't hit that point in the sky. And it's only there for like, maybe a couple hours, and then it comes back up. So it's cool in one way, and it's really frustrating in another because there's so many beautiful places. So what I would have to do is I would just have to take the pictures and then edit them in Lightroom so that they looked like it was golden hour, or like make the colors a little bit more vibrant. But yeah, you don't get it.
What time of the year was that, Christy?
That was in the summertime.
Okay.
So yeah.
I went there a few years ago. It was like June, July. And but I wasn't taking a lot of photographs at that time. I went there to build a tiny home with my uncle. And it was like a where I was at, which was, oh my God, it was a little town called Nenana right outside of Fairbanks. I was like, what is the main city called? Right outside of Fairbanks.
Oh, you were way north.
Yeah, we were, and very inland. I wasn't anywhere close to the coast like I've heard you talk about. But the sunlight was just spectacular for hours. I was just but I never took photographs. So it would be interesting to go back and try to get some shots, knowing now what you're saying about the sunlight.
Fairbanks is really, really north, and where I was on the peninsula, and it was really like down south. So I was further away from like that Arctic Circle kind of thing. I just didn't get, I mean, maybe I was there in a weird year. I don't know. Cause I was there from May, let's see, May through the beginning of October. So I was there for a while. Yeah. And it just, I remember being in shock that the sun just never went down.
Oh my goodness, that would screw up my sleep pattern for sure.
Oh, it did. Yeah, it did.
I would pull a beanie over my eyes. It was like multi-purpose. It kept me warm, and it also acted like a blindfold.
I wear a sleep mask. I can't handle light when I'm sleeping. Yeah. Even when it comes through here, I'm like, I need it to be dark. And I also need something to keep my eyes closed. Otherwise, I'll just lay there, like, after a few minutes, I'll be like, what am I doing? So I need something to just keep my eyes closed. So it works.
Right on.
Yeah. I'm so, I don't know if enthralled is the right word, but with Gordo's comments, they're making me so sad for you, Gordo.
Yeah. That is a hell of a place to be in, and I'm sorry that you're going through that. That stinks. Just everything about it stinks.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure no one can hear us, Gordo, just in case.
Yeah. He usually has a headphone in, but we'll wait for confirmation.
Yeah, that's Don't let it be over. I just want to make sure no one can hear, because I know that can be difficult sometimes when you're in a situation such as that.
Yeah. Gordo, go ahead, Christy.
No, I was just going to say, I did actually live with my kid's dad and co-parented for about a year. It didn't go well. I mean, it was good for the kids because they didn't notice that we weren't together and all that sort of stuff. But he, as much as I would say, no, we're not together, he would go around telling everybody that we're together. So our friends got a bit of a different opinion about me because of it. So, and also my family. So when I eventually did leave, my family chose his side because they didn't ask me any questions. But it is what it is, and it's all worked out now. They've all found out the truth. But it's a difficult situation to be in, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone. Okay, cool. Earbuds, yeah. Cool. Yeah, I don't. It sounds like she's moved on. She's ready to move on herself mentally, but she's not ready for you to move on if she's feeling jealousy and all that sort of stuff. Because it doesn't seem fair to me. It doesn't seem right.
Well, it's not fair. Like I said in one of my comments, it sounds like there's not a lot of maturity there.
No.
And I'm glad you've got good friends who can help you support through it. And don't let anyone tell you can't be friends with anyone.
That's right.
She
has no leg to stand on to telling you who you can talk to, not talk to, interact with in any way, shape, or form, in any capacity.
Oh dear, that's
no leg to stand on.
How old's your daughter? Because that's something that's difficult of a certain age.
Gordo, I'm really sorry. That's I was I was kind of on your end of a situation when my ex started doing what he was doing. He actually came to me and said, we can date other people, and I'm going to date this person. And we were all still in the house. We hadn't told our kids. And I didn't want to tell them until after the holidays because I knew that this was going to be big news and I didn't want to ruin their holidays for them. And he would, every weekend, he would leave and he would run off with his secretary from work and leave me with the kids. And it was very hard. It was hard. But he would do the same things. He would like if I would get a text message, because for a long time I wasn't allowed to have a phone. I didn't have a phone that could text. And so when we decided to divorce, I had to get my own phone plan. And so I got a phone for me and my oldest daughter and bought my first phone, and I was able to text for the first time. And I mean, I could be texting my mom and he would get super jealous and like want to control the situation. And it was so frustrating. And the only thing that I could do to help me was just realize that he was panicked because he knew he could no longer control me or the situation. And I had to face the fact that I was going to deal with narc revenge on some level, because that was a thing. I mean, that's really what he was. And I had to prepare myself for it. And the best thing that I found was to just not engage, to, like redirect everything. So when he started going off the rails, it'd be like, back to what we were discussing. Who's going to do this with the kids or, whatever. I had to redirect it. It was hard. It was hard to learn how to do. It was hard to learn how to do because I had no boundaries. I had no self-esteem. I had no faith in myself. I did not have the ability within me to really stand up, but I just knew that I had to do it. And oddly enough, the person that helped me deal with him the most was his mom. And what she told me was, because she was a crisis counselor. So I think, and I might have mentioned this before, she was called to the Twin Towers when they fell to debrief the first responders. What she told me was come up with a pat answer that is factual and cannot be argued and stick to that. And, there's some really good ways. It's hard. It's really hard to navigate. You will get the hang of it, but it is hurtful because you're still in that emotional state. And so what I would recommend is when you know that you're going to have these conversations with her, ground yourself and get yourself in your wise mind first, and then try to have that conversation where you're not kicked into your emotional mind. Because I know for me, when I'm in my emotional mind, it goes way bad, way bad. And again, I do understand that it's hard to put yourself there, but if you can try and you can kind of practice these things and know that she's wanting to control you, she's wanting to control the situation, wanting to control the narrative. She's probably upset that she's not getting the money that that you were bringing in. I don't know if she makes more or less than you. It's not important, but the fact that the income is leaving, and it's kind of like, I want you, but no one else can have you, type of thing. I want you, no one else can have you, but you're my trash and I really don't want you, but I'm not going to throw you out because I might need you in a minute because this might fall through. And so it really took a lot for me to find that. But I found that once I started doing it and I wasn't afraid, it was easier for me to do it. And I think a lot of times, and I've seen it firsthand, some women are really, really good at manipulating men. And they just know. I mean, there are a lot of people who are good at manipulating a lot of people, but I have seen more women that were really good at manipulating men than kind of the other way around sometimes. So just prepare yourself for that as well. I don't know that that's any helpful, but that's what helped me. It was very hard for me at first because I just wanted to get really mad. And I didn't, it was hard for me to set those emotions aside. But once I started doing it, it became easier and it became more helpful. And then those boundaries, I realized how they needed to be. And the other thing was I made sure my kids were always first. Like I didn't talk to him about anything between us. It was always the kids, or, you know, like I made it very factual. I'm a very factual person. Like if I'm coming to you with an issue, it is the facts. It's not any BS, it's facts. And I found that to be helpful too. So maybe that will help a little.
I also find leaving important conversations to text because then, so if like when you talk to each other, you can't, like, you just leave anything important to text. So, because then you can say, but this is what I said at this time on this day. And that way nothing can be misconstrued. Like text can be always misconstrued. Everyone can read anything into anything, but your point is clear. And I found that that's been really helpful with everything, like dealing with my housemate and all that sort of stuff. Everything I put into text is what I felt, and what I felt in a reasonable moment, because you can go back and read over it and make sure, take it swear words and I hate you, all that sort of stuff. And then go back and you can just keep editing it until you know that it's reasonable, a response to everything, and you'll find out that a lot of times you calm down. Especially if you write it when you're angry, and you go, okay, right. I'll read it. In fact, do it in notes, because sometimes you can accidentally send it if you do it in text. Yes, do it in notes, because that way you can't send it accidentally. And I do that with lots of things because I'm always pushing the wrong button, sometimes on purpose.
Wow.
It takes so much energy to deal with people like this. And what I have found for myself, it has been challenging to get here. I'll be completely transparent about that. But what has worked really well for me is putting up boundaries, and then these people just run away. Like they disappear. When I put up boundaries,
they hate boundaries.
They hate boundaries. It's like kryptonite for people like that. And so it's hurtful at first. It's really hard, but actually my life is so much better without people like this.
Yeah.
That's so true, Tara.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
I mean,
the point is,
it's possible, like y'all are talking, it's possible to learn how to do it. Just takes so much energy.
It does.
Yeah.
It
I'll
does.
say, Kristen, I don't argue
that you have a right to do that, and you're exercising that right.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
To each their own.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think part of the issue in this situation with Gordo is that when he places the boundaries, he just blows past it.
Yeah.
This is part of the issue.
And that's when you have to be firm in what you have set your boundary as. And so that's where it's important to be realistic with boundaries. If you set a boundary and you say to them very firmly, like, okay, one of my boundaries is you will not speak to me that way. I don't care who you are. You could be Jesus himself in front of me. You will not speak to me that way. Now, I have to be prepared on my end for what that consequence looks like. So if I set this unrealistic consequence of I'm going to leave for the evening, well, that's not realistic for me. I live in a hotel. I know no one in Maryland. Where am I going? Am I going to go sleep in my car? So that's not a realistic one. So make sure that your consequences are something that you can do and that you're willing to do for your boundaries, because she's blowing past them because she's not feeling the consequences firmly enough. She's like, well, you're saying this, but I'm still gonna blah, blah, blah. So if it means, look, if you want to, do adult things with people that you are not married to, I'm trying to be really polite and delicate here. That's fine, but you're not going to do it in the home. And if you do, then, I will leave or I will have you removed, whatever. But you've got to make sure that you can follow through with it. And that's
Also-
where boundaries fail, is because we don't push those consequences. We let somebody, blow through them, and then we gaslight ourselves, or we think we're the irrational ones, and then we don't follow through on our end. And it's not that you're doing anything wrong. It's just that you're learning, and it's a huge learning curve, and it's so difficult. So please do not think I'm coming down on you, because I'm not. But you've got to find that consequence that you can stick to. Because the consequence is to prevent the behavior and protect you and your kids.
Right.
There's also a difference in people's boundaries when they're together, like in a relationship, and when they're separated. And that's something that needs to be understood. Just because I accepted this when we were together doesn't mean I'm going to accept it now.
Yes.
And that's something that's difficult for some people to recognize. Oh, but we were together. We used to do all these things. We didn't have any boundaries. And now it's like, well, there should be some boundaries, because one, you ruined it. You broke some fundamental boundaries that should be within any, trusting relationship, which is true. This is just the truth. And, you broke that. So therefore, this is a consequence. We're no longer together. And there are some serious boundaries in place, as in, you can't talk to me about this. You can't talk to me about that. I don't want to talk to you about this, my own personal stuff. We just talk about the children, because that now is what your focus is as co-parenting, is making sure the children are okay. And a 9-year-old, I'm sorry, but they're gonna pick up on stuff. So I'd say that's a conversation you're both gonna have very soon. Me at 9, I knew not one to put on my parents. So, but you don't, as a 9-year-old, you don't know how to come forward and say that you're worried, because they're your parents. You don't want to.
Right.
Yeah. You don't want to be right.
The most important thing, and I'm so thankful for my ex for this reason. And there are things I am thankful for. That's one thing I had to, in order for me to heal and get past some of the things, I had to forgive. And in order for me to forgive, I had to find things to be grateful for. Now, some of them are not huge things, but this is just how I managed it. One of the things I am thankful for is that we made sure that our kids knew that our problems were not because of them. Like, we told them when we sat them down and told them that we were getting a divorce, we did a few things. The first thing we did was, this is not your fault. You did not cause this. 2 adults cannot get along, and that has nothing to do with you. And the second one was like a Taylor Swift song. We are never, ever, ever getting back together. And we squashed that from the beginning, because we didn't want them to ever think that was a hope if we started getting along, or one of us moved on and started dating. And so that is another thing I could say that I'm really thankful, because my parents were not divorced. My exes were, and it was an extremely nasty, horrific divorce that they went through. So that was him bringing that in. And I'm really thankful that he brought that wisdom in to help our children. So for what that's worth.
I can only say there's one thing I'm grateful for my kids, Dad, and that's for my kids. And if that's all I can say, then that's all I need.
Yeah.
And it's my kids are adults now. I don't need to talk to them ever again. So it's great.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to my ex in, like, I think if I put it all together, Michael and I have been married 10 years. I think I haven't talked to him in 9. Like, the only time that I talked to him was one time with our middle child, and it was really a big deal. And that's been the only time. I haven't spoken to him since, because, and even my oldest daughter's dad, once she got to be about 12 or 13, I was like, look, this is your relationship with your dad. You guys sort yourselves out. I only got involved when it got serious. And her dad knew if I picked up the phone and I was like, we need to talk, like, it had already gone way too far. And I was setting boundaries, and I didn't even realize I was setting boundaries. It's just because I was so done with the behavior that I was like, I don't plan on anybody ever doing this to me again. I didn't consciously sit down and go, this is my boundary. I just went, oh, hell no. I lived through that for 10 years. Y'all are crazy if you think I'm doing this nonsense again. So whatever I have to do to stop it. So, people are like, oh, your boundaries are so great. No, not really. I was just that pissed off and angry. My little
sometimes you
hobbit
don't even
came out.
know. Sometimes
Yeah.
you don't even know what your boundaries are until someone knocks up against one. So, and then you're like, oh wait, I don't like
that's
that.
true.
Yes.
True.
And has anybody else experienced that, like, once you decide what your boundary actually is, even if you're not aware of it, if you're like, all right, that's not okay, like this happened, from now on this is not okay, and then it doesn't come up anymore. Has anybody else experienced that? It's almost like a mental shift or something that other people pick up on.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I have
Yeah. I mean, there are people that do make marks out of people, and they can read people that well to know who is a mark and who's not.
Who's a target and who's not. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
I haven't hit that point because I think I'm a very good mark.
I will say I have some really rigid boundaries, and for a long time they didn't get pushed. But lately they have been getting pushed. And I think that the reason that they're getting pushed is because I need to grow beyond those. Like, I've gotten that part down. So there's additional room for me to heal and grow beyond that. And so now I've got people crashing up against my boundaries. And it's an opportunity for me to look inward to myself to see where I can grow. But for about 10 years, no, and there are things where people tell me, they're like, I've had situations where my friends have dealt with people who were being really crappy, and I didn't even know it because, like, it was not even in my wheelhouse. And it was just because, like you said, your vibe is so solid in that you're like, nope. But I do think, don't think that you won't ever be tested on those again. Because if you still have things to learn and grow from, down the road, when you're ready, it will come back around. Now, for me, it was about 10 years. And I'm looking at this today, actually, is a good example. I was like, why is this happening? And one of my really good friends that I talked to, she's like, well, have you looked at yourself? And I'm like, I'm nothing like these two people. And she's like, but are you? Are you a little upset about this for some internal reason? And I realized I was. And so now, instead of seeing it as a negative thing that these people are crashing my boundaries, I'm seeing it as, okay, you know what? I can grow from this. So yeah, like for what that's worth.
I'm still so new at boundaries. Oh, sorry, Carol.
Weigh in here on this with Gordo. So, honest opinion from you all. Am I out of line saying I can't handle her sleeping with guys while we live together? Hello, you have kids together, at least not at the moment. That will change, or it doesn't have to. If you can't handle it, you cannot handle it. And if she can't respect that, then it's time to make other arrangements and just let her fall on her face, basically.
And there's also, there's no need to, if she wants to live a life outside of the house, that's fine. Sorry, because we had this, me and my kid's dad had this discussion.
But I mean,
you don't bring
if it's not fine with him, though, it's not fine.
Exactly, but
it's not fine if it's not fine with him.
But just like she's not,
and not only that, your kids.
But just like
what is that?
She's not allowed to control him. He's not allowed to control her. But there are boundaries that should be in place, which is don't bring it to the house. It should always be that. Because he can't control her any more than she can control him. It's not fair either way.
But the kids are still going to see her going out and not coming home, and that's not a good look.
No, but
that is not a good look for a parent.
No, it's not. But it's not up to him to police her parenting anymore, other than to say, I'm not okay with this. But any way that you try and control someone else's behavior, that's going to end up coming back on you.
You don't have to live with it. You don't. I mean, it's like having it right there under your nose while you're living with it.
Yeah, it's not okay. I wouldn't.
No, you're not out of line at all. You don't have to live with her.
No,
right?
Yeah. But see, sometimes
you cannot handle it. You don't have to live with her, and that's not in any way out of line, and it's perfectly understandable.
Yeah, and that would be a great way to exercise the boundary.
Yes.
Yeah.
By making that line in the sand. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to
say,
he's not, just as he doesn't want her to stop her from talking to his best friend. that's kind of like getting on a bit of a dicey line to say that she can't do whatever she wants either. You know, that's what I'm saying. Not that I think that either that it's fair or that it's right or I would do it, but it's
we'll see what you're saying, but still, it's a little different if you're just talking to somebody as opposed to she's doing more than that.
Yeah.
So well, I'd move.
You were married, and that is going to affect you.
If she didn't want you to move, why did she do this in the first place? Because it's a weird situation to just expect someone to be okay with being cheated on, and then everything to continue. I mean, that's a weird expectation. I'm not sure where she would get that from. That's what.
She cannot have it both ways, Gorda.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
it's just that if she's going to do them, I will move. She doesn't want me to move. She cannot have it both ways.
No,
here's Gordo. I was kind of in your situation, and it's difficult because for me, I wasn't able to move. I wanted to move. I couldn't move. I didn't have the financial resources to move. And again, we were heading into the holidays. I really like what Tara said. What are the consequences if she does it? Really, in this, the best advice that I can give you as someone who has kind of sort of been in that position is you have to look at what is healthy for you and your child. Don't look at what is right and wrong or good and bad, because those have a lot of really heavy connotations on them, right? Because you can have a good person who does bad things. I stayed married because I thought divorce was bad. Well, staying married was way worse. So try reframing things in the sense of, is this healthy or is this unhealthy? I have found for me personally, that helps me to make a decision better, because is it healthy for you and your child to be in a situation where your ex-wife or soon to be ex-wife is behaving this way? That's for you to decide. I would say no. Okay, so if the answer is no, then what does that look like? Okay, well, this is unhealthy. I'm not going to expose myself or my child to this because I do not feel this is okay. What do I need to do? What is within my power to do? It's within my power to move. I'm going to move. She at that point, here's where it's tricky. You're still together, but you're not. And it's confusing because you're in the same home, but you're trying to live separate lives. But as long as you're in the same home, she's going to try to control you. And you're going to fight against that. And you're going to have these feelings and you're going to be conflicted. So the truth is, until you leave, whenever that is, however that looks for you, this is going to continue because this is her game playing. She's playing a game. She's manipulating you. She's twisting you. She's using you. Now, I don't judge you if you stay for another 5 years. Okay, I am not going to judge you. You just have to get to a point where you're seeing what is healthy for you and what is unhealthy. And that's what helped me, because looking at, is this good for my kid? Is this bad for my kid? Well, of course it's bad for kids when their parents divorce, right? You don't live with both parents anymore. But could that be a good thing? That could be a very healthy thing. For my kids, it was extremely healthy when we divorced, because I thought I was hiding it from my kids. I wasn't hiding it from my kids. My oldest daughter was taking my two youngest kids and they were hiding in the basement while plates were breaking and names were screaming and a full-blown nasty fight was going on upstairs. I wasn't in a spot where I could realize that mentally. I was not healthy enough. Now, looking back on it, I have distance gives us perspective. I would have left a lot sooner. Should I maybe have said, look, this isn't healthy, so we're going to figure something out for the holidays? Maybe. But I can tell you it was
right to look back on that.
Yeah, exactly. But it was very healthy for me and very healthy for my children when I divorced their dad. It was the healthiest thing I'd ever done. So try reframing it in that way. Maybe that will make it easier. It also makes it, and once you get it set in your mind, it's set. I remember the best thing my dad ever said to me was, he said, once you decide you're done, you're done and you will never look back. And I didn't believe my dad. I was like, yeah, I don't know about that. You know what? Dude, when I was done, I lost the guy's number.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
I
also,
did. Like, I didn't look
remember
back.
too that children pick up on whatever's going on in the house. So
Yeah.
if you're staying for the kids, they might do better having two separate happy homes than one home that's not entirely happy.
Right.
That's really, yeah. And there's this little complication here. Neither of us can afford to move, so it means we have to sell. Then she guilts me that I'm making the kids move and that she will lose the house she grew up in and her parents built. Well, it sounds like she is leading a life where she would lose it anyway.
Well, as I said, it's a consequence of her actions, not yours. She's the one that destroying things.
She's acting that irresponsibly. You cannot maintain a home for very long doing the things that she's doing right now. So that's not on you. That's not on you, Gordo.
No.
I don't
think
think
I have to jump off here really quick because I have recovery management. I'm the friend he's talking about. So I want to give a little bit of information before I go so that he doesn't have to type it out. Her sister also lives with them. They've been financially supporting her. She has not worked. They're financially supporting her and her son. So there's a relationship between their kids and the cousin that's more like sibling. Like there's just so many complicated factors that seem to be with this one.
Seems like, why can't the wife move?
I agree. And I agree. And the biggest thing is that he will guilt himself first. He will feel the guilt first. I think all of us understand this. And he's so in it right now, he can't see the next step sometimes. I've been trying to explain, I think the kids might be picking up on some of it. The 15-year-old found out, but already knew beforehand. So like there's factors, and these are all her choices. These are every single one of her choices that are causing problems right now. But for some reason it gets twisted and turned around onto the other person who it shouldn't be on.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
Yeah.
Another thing
that's total gaslighting and manipulation. And you don't have to be manipulated, and you don't have to be gaslit.
That's exactly what it is.
And in addition to the custody comment, Zelda, if she's cheating, if she's smoking pot and doing drugs every day, that would be in favor of Gordo getting custody as well.
The cheating wouldn't be though, because that's you don't lose your kids just for cheating.
Oh, okay. I don't know how it works, but drugs, I mean that's a legit concern, right?
There is a legit concern there, but he's Canadian, so this is legal.
Oh,
even if he could alcoholism can still be used against somebody, right? When you're going to custody court, like that can still be used. So I don't know if this is a factor he's thought about. This is still, it might be legal, but this is still a factor, how often she's using.
And it was also if she's driving, because it may be legal to use, but it's not legal to drive on it. So.
Especially if she's got the kids in the car.
Yeah. But see, we just look, at the moment, we just got to, Gordo, you just got to feel right within yourself at the moment, right this second.
Yeah. That's what I was.
Put the gaslighting aside and decide what it is you want. What do you want? That's important. What she wants is important to her. It's okay for what's important to you to be important to you.
Right.
It's okay for you to decide what you want.
And if you don't know that right now, because things change pretty quickly in these sort of situations, it's like you just got to be okay every day, because you got to be okay for your kids and yourself, and also just think this is a new opportunity. You've got, you did have this one life that you thought you were going to have. Now it's taken a bit of a different path, so so many things have opened up for you now. So, you know, that's one thing I always look at it. It might be a change that you never wanted, but it's a change that could be something that changes your life for the better.
Could be good.
Yeah.
Could be good. Yeah.
And I think it would be for the better, because he would be able to finally spend time finding himself instead of sacrificing for somebody else.
I just wanted to say this real quick.
And here, if it helps, we'll give you permission to do that, to do what you want for a change. What's good for you for a change.
Can you hear me? Okay. What I wanted to say to you is, when you hit that point where you're ready, you will be ready. There will be no questions. Yeah. You will go.
Yeah.
And it might be a day, it might be a year, it might be 6, but you will be ready when you're ready. And just know that we all support and encourage you, and that we are all here for you. And the best thing to do truly is to sit down with yourself and really look at what is healthy for you and what is healthy for them. Anything else, the house, the whatever, that's all, you know what? That's not your fault. Like I tell my dogs, that's none of your never mind. You know, that's none of your never mind. That's unfortunate, yes. But you know, could she go on and do better things and keep that in some way? Well, if she was motivated, probably. But you please don't allow yourself to be manipulated into something that has nothing to do with you. And right now, that's kind of what's happening. Now, it's happened to everybody. You're not alone. Okay. It happened to me. But when that moment comes, it is going to be so clear to you. I mean, it's just going to be like a light bulb. Mine was, if I stay in this situation,
once you see it, there's no unseeing it.
Yeah. Mine was, if I stay in this situation, I'm going to die. You know what? I didn't want to die. So I left. And now, it is really sticky and messy up until then, because maybe you're trying to hold on to something. The fact of the matter is, you will get to see your children. Bottom line, you're not a bad dad. You will get to see your kids. Is it hard not to see them every day? Yes, absolutely it is. But you know what? It makes the time when you do see them more fun. Now, is it hard to adjust to different things? Yeah, being divorced is not easy. But like I said before, it could be the healthiest thing that you do for yourself and your children. And you might get a couple of years down the road and look back and really realize, wow, you know, I thought this was going to look this way. And look at me and Michael, you know, I've got an amazing marriage. I'm married to an amazing man. And I never thought I would ever have that.
He's there right now, isn't he?
Well, he is, but that's true. I mean,
I'm kidding.
It is true. It is true. I think I don't know where he went, but you know, don't beat yourself up too bad. You've got to get to it organically. If you're not there yet, you're just not there yet. You're starting to work through it. Start journaling. Start writing things down and start really looking at, you know, what's going on. It doesn't have to be.
If you're going to journal, make sure it can't be found. Because that stuff can be used against you.
Yeah.
Maybe a word processor with a password on it.
Yeah, or even just in your notes on your phone.
Or
settle yourself down.
No names named. I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
does it count if no names are named?
No, because that can be correlated back to situations. Because I'm going through a similar thing right now with diaries and all that sort of stuff. And I'm using it as evidence. So, so you just be careful about where you write things and where it's available. Yeah. Because you know, people, they could read anything and they could take it out of context and that could blow into a whole situation that you don't need. So if you're going to journal, just make sure it's private.
Right.
Because I'm always very super careful about it, all that sort of stuff, because I have had, you just got to be careful, especially in this situation, because if someone is feeling like they're going under, they'll take everyone with them.
That is
Yeah.
true.
That's true.
Well,
That is true.
you guys, I'm gonna hop off. Oh, okay. Well, I guess I don't have to. He's gonna jump in the bath, so I don't have to.
And I'm
I
gonna
just
hop off because I have recovery management in about 10 minutes, and I like to try and be there a couple minutes early. So
perfect.
Bye, Pistasha.
Hey, everybody. But Gordo, I just wanted you to know that we support you. All right, and I think a lot
Yeah.
of people have been where you've been, and me personally, I just want to encourage you. I know how icky it feels and how upending it feels, and how and it's confusing because the energies are getting confused because you're
Yeah.
apart but you're together, and then you've got all of these other things. And I just really want to encourage you. The only person you can control is yourself. The only person you
That's
can
true.
answer for is yourself. Something that somebody said to me today, and I wrote it down because it was fabulous. She was a very wise person. She said, well, hold on, where'd it go? But you know, it was something about, oh, expectation of others isn't realistic. I asked if I had unrealistic expectations of people. She's like, well, the only person you can put expectations on is yourself. You can't put them on anybody else because you can't control anybody else.
That's true.
And you can't control the
No,
situation.
That's true.
And that was one of those like gobsmacked moments where I'm like, how did I not know that? But so I just want to encourage you, like, her behaviors, her actions, her reactions, her stuff, that's hers. That is a mess of her own making. You didn't do anything. Now, is there things that you might have responsibility for? Sure. There were things I had responsibility for that I had to look at and be like, that was mine. You're not there yet, but just learn to separate the energies. This is mine. This is hers. I have no control over this. The house, her sister, the son, the relationships, the siblings, the complexities. My stuff is here. I feel this way. My child feels this way. This is what's healthy. And it's kind of an easier way to separate it. But again, you will get there when you're ready. And you know, who knows how long that will be, but we'll be here for you when you are. If that's helpful.
I also wanted to say that expectations lead to disappointments a lot of times because the reality never meets the expectations, you know? So that's why I tend not to have any. Although I did, this whole thing with my son not getting this job kind of put me back into my got to be realistic. Even though something's exciting, something could happen that could change everything. So don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't put all my eggs of joy in the one basket. I've got to spread them out a bit further because, you know, and we found out yesterday that it wasn't actually Jaden that didn't get the job. It was the employer was dodgy. He didn't get in contact with anyone who was supposed to have a job. So it takes some of the responsibility off Jaden. So he feels a little better. Because he was so looking forward to it. So I just kept saying, it's not you, it was them, you know, so don't take that on board because it's not his response. He didn't do anything wrong. So he needs to take that off himself and just think, didn't happen, time for a new opportunity. And that sort of, but it kind of slapped me back into place, you know, stop being so excited about stuff because it might not happen. So hope for the best, but plan for the worst type of thing. So.
Have you all ever? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, and it's not like I live negatively. I'm a pretty positive person. It's just that so much bad has happened that it's led me to not want to expect joy.
Yes.
Have y'all ever?
Oh, thank you, Christy.
You've seen it. Okay. Yay. I was going to do it the other day, and then I had to hop off, and I forgot. I'm going to go get the coffee, Michael. Okay, so you guys, as much as I love mushroom coffee, I'm starting to develop a Starbucks thing. Thank you to my husband because he's always like, do you want a coffee? Do you want me to bring you a coffee? Do you want a coffee? And at first I was like, yeah. And now I'm like, Great. Thank you. Now I'm gonna have to go to needing a meeting and be like, my name is Christy and I have a Starbucks addiction. I'm sorry.
Hi, Christy.
Thank you all.
It's funny though, because coffee is more addictive than a lot of things, and they've got a scale of addictions, and coffee is right up there above like.
Oh man,
so many
and
other.
I unapologetically hold on to that addiction. It's like I've given up all my other vices. I am not letting go of that one. They'll have to pry it out of my cold dead hands.
Yeah, and I mean,
Right,
it's
me
really
too.
interfering negatively with life. I mean, really, I feel like coffee adds value to my life personally.
Exactly.
It doesn't interfere
Exactly.
with it.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I need magic bean juice.
Coffee is meant to be really good for people with ADHD. It's like a very low dose of Ritalin. Apparently.
Really quick, I want to mention really quick. Have y'all heard of Dr. Ramani before?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
love her. And my therapist has extremely good taste. And she actually just recommended a book to me, which I put on hold at the library. I'm waiting for the person who has it now to bring it back so I can get it. But it's Dr. Ramani just put out a book. It's called It's Not You.
Yeah.
And I think I'm looking forward to reading it. I can't speak to it, but like I said, my therapist has good taste. And I feel like, Gordo, if you can hear this right now, what you were sharing made me think about, and I kept thinking, should I say something about the book? I haven't read it yet. I can't really speak to it, but I'm really looking forward to reading it. So I just want to throw that out there.
And if you while you're waiting for the book, you can see Dr. Ramani's videos on YouTube.
Oh yeah, I know them very well.
She has a very strong presence on YouTube, and she's wonderful.
Yes, I feel like I know her. I've watched so much of her content. I feel like I know her.
Well, after my last both my last breakup relationships, actually, I listened to her and just think, why didn't I find you years ago?
Right?
Yes.
Me too.
Because I'm not saying it would have solved a lot of things. It just would have made me understand people slightly better and maybe have less hope that they'd treat me better. Because when someone tells you they're a narcissist, I got told that if someone knows they're a narcissist, they're probably not. Except there are some self-aware narcissists, and if they tell you they're a narcissist, don't just be like, oh, well, they're being honest, because then they'll be like, but I told you I was a narcissist. You knew this was going to happen. Yeah. I'm like, hang on. That's not how it works. Just, I'm a nut job. Doesn't mean I'm going to be one.
There's a group of narcissists. They're called prosocial narcissists. Have you heard of this? Anyone? No, it's a specific subset of narcissists who fall into this category of prosocial. And I would imagine, Christy, that exactly the type of personality you're speaking about would be a prosocial narcissist if they're so self-aware that they can identify that they have narcissistic tendencies, or even more than that, then they might fall into that category. It's just that's just speculation. I don't actually know.
He was told that he was a narcissist by his ex. So I'm like, okay. So then he started reading up about it and saw that he fits some of the things. I'm like, I only believe people. So many people think they just throw that word out there. Oh, it's narcissistic. It's a narcissist. Many people have narcissistic traits. But a true narcissist is, it's life defining and changing. And I'm a narcissist. I make sure that my skirt's not too high, my boots look okay every time I walk past. Are
you pro-social narcissist? Identify.
No.
So there's
I have narcissist traits. Yeah.
There's narcissistic personality disorder, right? There's the person, but then there's also, it's healthy. I heard Ramani talk about this. It's actually healthy to have narcissistic traits to a degree.
Yeah.
Right
on.
Well, I think everyone has a little.
You have to. It's self-preservation.
Well, you kind of want to make sure that you're okay, that you look okay, to present yourself well, and even those when they're not feeling so great, they know that within themselves this is not how they would present themselves. So that's a little bit of, and I wouldn't even say it's narcissism. I just think, as I said, that dude, like, it was named after a dude who fell in love with his reflection. Aren't we all in love with our reflections in some way? maybe not our visual
in some way.
in a physical
Right.
reflection, but
Some days are
there's
better
something-
than others.
But, yeah.
Some days-
yeah, but there should be.
We're out for our own self-interests a lot.
Mm.
Well, if you're not, then what's the
We are.
point? You know, like if you're not after yourself,
Yeah.
just what we were talking about with Gordo. He needs to be more about his self-interest
Yeah.
rather than what's going on
Yes.
with his family. You know,
Right.
because when you
Yeah.
put yourself first in a healthy way, then you're more able to be present and healthy for everyone else in your life because you're taking care of yourself. It's like that mask on a plane thing. You got to put it on yourself before you can put it on your kid, type thing.
Yeah.
I want to say one thing, Zelda. I think that's funny. And but HC Tutor, I cannot listen
I
to
have a
him.
really hard time with him.
I will tell you.
I love that he's self-aware, but boy, the way it sucks you in.
Is that the guy with the dreads?
Tudor?
Can't do it.
Tutor,
No,
however-
you don't see him. But he's a psychopathic narcissist, you guys. He's a psychopath.
Who's this?
He tells you that.
HG Tutors.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
He has a YouTube.
Yeah.
He is so triggering to me. Like I start.
Yes, me too. I can't.
Really?
I just can't. Oh my God,
No, I can't because it's just too close to home. Like it just that I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a vampire to like no.
Mm.
But no, be careful of people like that because he is a diagnosed psychopathic narcissist. The things that he does. So take out the narcissist. He's a diagnosed psychopath. Just be careful.
So I've watched one called Mental Illness. It's a African American guy with dreads. He's quite interesting to watch because he's also just had a child. He's in a relationship with a woman who's. I haven't watched him for a while because I was about as you say, you get yourself drawn in and you start to feel sorry for some of the things that they do, and you're just like, hang on a sec. So I went back to but he's also aware of Dr. Rimini. So he comments on her stuff all the time. And he's an interesting watch. It's not I haven't subscribed. It just pops up sometimes and I'll be like, I'll watch a little.
Right.
But yeah, it's called Mental Illness. But he calls himself a self-aware narcissist as well. But I haven't come across I stay away from psychopaths.
I stay away from
to. I try.
Tara,
It's a good rule of thumb. It's a good rule of thumb to avoid the psychopaths.
They find me, but if I know they're a psychopath, I'd be like, no.
Again, if like I've found that with boundaries, they run away, and that's probably it hurts for a little bit, but it's like really the best thing that could have possibly happened is a psychopath running away from you.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I'm just Misha. They say that people who are narcissists are created because they haven't had enough love and affection as children, so they withdraw all of that into themselves because they haven't had it from outside, so they put it all inside. But you'll find that a lot of people who are narcissists are actually very unhappy, not confident people, even if that's what they project, because they're still within their. They don't know how to relate to other people, so they don't actually know what other people are thinking. So they always think they've got to be better, or that person thinks that they're better. But it generally stems from childhood. People aren't created to be narcissists as an adult.
I heard something really good that said, nature loads the gun, nurture pulls the trigger. So I think a lot of people have potential to be a lot of things. It's just the environment in which you grew up in. And I just want to say, Kristen, Melinda, real quick, and I'm not bagging on you. I just want you to be very mindful. Self-aware, narcissists feed on you like a buffet. They can say they're self-aware. They're looking for fuel from you. So please tread very lightly, because I'm telling you, it takes years to undo what a bad one can do to you if you. And I just say that because I care about everybody, and I don't ever want anyone to come and be like, oh, remember what they are. And I tell everybody, I'm like, they're feeding off of you like you're a buffet, like your Golden Corral. And I mean,
that's
it's a really
that's what
morbid
narcissists
thought,
feed
but
on.
it is.
They've got a source.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
I was a source, and once the narcissist realize that they're going to lose that source, they either go and put their source on, find a source somewhere else, or they'll do whatever it takes to keep their source, and
or do both.
Yeah, or both. You know, a lot of people do both because they've got to have the spare in case the real source doesn't actually have enough. So
right. Well, and I just say, because I came from such a point of such a bad one that I want to ring the bell to everybody. All right, Ben, I will shut up now. I want to hear what you have to say. I promise.
It's nothing big. I was just going to ask Tara, the pro-social narcissist, my little bit of reading, they sound like they're mainly people pleasers, but not because they want to please people. They want to please people because what they get out of it. Is that the case for them?
I would say that's fair.
I've looked into it just slightly, and there's not a lot of information out there. There's one guy in particular who talks about it, and he identifies as such. But yeah, it's someone who is not easy, from what I understand, they're not as easily detectable as a narcissist. They're kind of like able to slip under the radar, and they have learned what's socially acceptable. But under the surface, they have narcissistic tendencies and traits.
Sure. Well, yeah, I mean, just a little bit of reading I did, I could see how that would be very easy to miss them, because they, at least the description I've read on them, they're talking about how they exhibit empathy towards others, which almost seems at odds with narcissistic pathology.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh no, that's how they hook you in. That's how they hook you in.
You know,
you think they're the nicest, most caring person in the world, and if you're in a vulnerable moment and you need that at that moment.
And that's your classic narcissist will typically just love bomb, and then once you're hooked, and no, you're not worth it. No, you're not worth it. The problem is with you. You know, your mother, whatnot. But I was just I need to read up on that too. That one's a new one to me, and that kind of surprised me.
It's interesting. There's not a lot of information about it. Sorry, Christy.
If you kind of got to wonder if we're all slightly a little bit, because, well, not anyone who's on social media, because what are we putting out into the world? Positive stuff, generally, making everyone look happy. I mean, then you get these people who are like, I call it trauma porn, because they're going and helping homeless people, but they're putting it on YouTube so they get clicks. And you think, okay, you're doing something good, but you're doing it for recognition. So is that really good? Or who are you doing it for? You know, like that's what I want to know. Who are you doing this for? Like, yeah, it feels good to watch these nice videos, but then I think, but you're just going to walk away and that person's got a new tent and some shoes. But how did you really help other than the new tent and some shoes? You know, like, but how many clicks did you get? How much money did you make on doing this? So, which you could, I just think, you know, if they're going to make these videos on these people, any money that's made from that video should go back to that person, not whoever making the video. Because it's just like, it is trauma porn. You're watching all these people go, and people seem to enjoy it. You know, like, and that's what you kind of got to wonder.
Yeah.
You know, it's everybody has that part of them that wants to be liked. Everybody wants to be liked and accepted and to look good. And so, and I think it's hard in the social media age because, you know, it's true. We do have to be careful about calling people a narcissist or codependent or whatever, because there's a lot of traits and there's a lot of things that can, you know, come about in that. And I think what it does is it sets you up for that. I think people that can really be predispositioned to that can really fall into that trap. But I think there are people out there doing good. And, you know, I always told my kids, you know, one of the things that I taught my kids to do once a month, we would go to a restaurant. Now it was like a Perkins or like a an IHOP or Bob Evans or something like that, you know, just a small place where a lot of elderly people would go to eat. But we would always buy somebody's dinner, and I would say, okay, pick whoever in the restaurant you want to buy dinner for. And my kids would always pick like the little old guy eating by himself, or the little old lady, or like the mom with a couple of kids. And we would pay for everything. We bought their dinner and we paid for the tip. But the deal was the waitress could not say anything. If they left before us, like it could not be said. Nobody ever said anything. And the reason that I did that was to teach generosity, but to teach it in the proper way. And I think in this age where everything is so social, I don't know that it's
generosity without reward.
Well, yeah, but I think it's how people are being taught. Like they're seeing that these people are getting clicks and making money and stuff off of being generous. And so maybe people really believe that's what generosity looks like. You know what I mean? Like the younger generation, they don't have anything to fall back on, because my generation was when, oh, go ahead.
Mr. Beast is the biggest YouTuber in the world. He's going to have a Netflix thing. He goes to towns and gives them water, or he'll give people sight, you know, like, but he makes a lot of money off of that. But you just think, I feel like his stuff is a little bit more, what's the word? Not just for clicks. He actually does want to change things, because
like
he's not
genuine.
going there. Yeah, because he's giving whole towns water. He's changing people's vision by a simple, very quick operation. That brings doctors in, and then they get their vision back. So you just think that's actually changing lives and going to change the future of, that particular town, that particular person. That there is real generosity. Right. Also with a reward. He gets a reward with that. So there's a bit of back and forth, because you can't just go around doing good things and just be like, oh, because even Mother Teresa was no Mother Teresa, just so you know. But, it's just like, people do deserve something for doing good, because no one's going to do good if they don't get something.
That's true.
Exactly.
So that's true.
I feel like there's a bit of a level. There's a level. There's a balancing act. So you can do good things and get rewards of good feeling and, thanks, whatever. But you don't have to take it to the point where you're only doing good things for that mission,
And I think intent is for me, it's 100% of everything. Your intention is going to set the tone for it. And,
exactly.
and I think, hey, you know what? I've heard of Mr. Beast. I've not really seen any of his stuff. I've heard of him, but, if that's what you do, it's kind of like a business model. If you think about it, if you're going out and you're raising money and you're getting clicks and you're putting this stuff out there and you're making money and you're taking that profit and you're turning it around and putting it back into what you're doing, as well as providing a living for yourself. Isn't that what America's about? So nobody can fault him for that. I think what it is when you can tell someone is just, because you can read a person's energy, and when someone's just being crummy, that makes me mad. I don't like people being crummy.
I'm going to say this to this, as far as I know we throw around the word narcissists a lot, but I was married to somebody that let's just say the effects that it had on me was everything that is described by Dr. Romani and others as narcissistic abuse, narcissistic neglect, narcissistic behavior. And I was a shell of a human being when I got out of that relationship. And I was a banquet until I was just bare bones, out to dry in the sun. And then I could finally be let go.
Yeah.
I kept trying to get away from him, but that's when he would love bomb me and get me back. And so if it walks like a duck and you are and you hear the effects of it quacking like a duck inside of you, then it's probably a duck.
Another thing to keep in mind is that 1 out of 6 people in the United States, or in the world, I think it's in the world, 1 out of 6 in the world. I think this is a Romani statistic. 1 out of 6 people in the world is a narcissist, like straight personality disorder type of narcissist. But I think that it's higher in the United States, and like in Washington D.C., it's even like 50%. I heard. So
I believe that.
So when we say, you know, it's being thrown around so often, it's like, well, 1 in 6 people, that's a lot. So, you know, of course, we encounter people like this on a daily basis, I'm sure, some more than others.
Yeah, and Wall Street is very famous for having a lot of psychopaths because they do really well with that, because they're able to concentrate on just these statistics and the hell with everybody. And
who has more psychopaths?
Wall Street. There was
and
a lot.
Silicon Valley,
and Washington D.C.
Yeah.
Wall Street, as in stock exchange.
Wall Street. Okay, I was like,
yeah,
I don't know what you're saying. Okay, Wall Street.
Wall Street, not Walmart. Although
yes,
I just wanted to.
Well, although Walmart, I mean, that makes a lot of sense.
Just wanted to pick up on what Misha said. Like, I don't see
this.
Yes, exactly. But I don't see anything wrong with you promoting, creating awareness around what happened with your daughter. You know, like that's something that's important. It's not like going around doing the Barbie Oppenheimer thing. I can't think what it was called. You know, that's important. It's creating awareness around situations that are, you know, that could affect any one of us, because everyone always thinks, oh no, it's always going to happen to somebody else. They never think it could happen to us. But if we, you know, see that it can happen to anyone that we love, that's more awareness that makes us, you know, maybe look out for what's happening more so. So I don't think you've done anything wrong, and I'm sorry that you're not getting any results from it that you.
Well, narcissists, or actually psychopaths, well, you will find them typically, they call it a dyad, but you'll have one person who's a narcissist, another person who has deep emotions, and they kind of feed each other. That's what Eric and Dylan, the two guys who did Columbine. Eric was a psychopath. Dylan was he was super high emotion, and that he kind of fed Eric.
Well, it's a thing in the spiritual community. The narcissist and the empath is a huge thing, because empaths are really easy marks for narcissists, because they have so much empathy and so much love. And it's like, if we're talking about narcissist feeding, it's the purest form of food. It's the healthiest form of food. And they go in thinking, you know, like they're just, I was naive, and I believed it. I believed all of this stuff. And so I think that's another thing, like education is really important. You know, we don't have to diagnose everybody, but knowing what it looks like, knowing how to leave it, knowing how to handle it, knowing what boundaries look like all of those things are super important, because it's just educating yourself, you know, and understanding that, you know, a true narcissist isn't going to change. There's no medication out there that can fix them. They're not going to go to therapy. They're not going to go to counseling. You know, you're going to have to be the one to walk away is a really hard thing, especially when you're terrified to walk away. But you'll find the strength, you know, and I think that's important.
Well, yeah, it's all about healthy relationships, healthy boundaries, and things like that. Whether or not the person's a narcissist or they just have narcissistic traits, it's going to be an unhealthy relationship.
It's strange, because if you're someone who's never seen a healthy relationship, I think you're probably going to be more, because I would say that I would be considered someone who's overly empathetic. It's one of my traits of autism. And but I tend to end up with people who have extreme narcissistic traits. And it does kind of make a lot of sense, because I don't know how to react to a lot of people, like, because, you know, there's a bit of a communication thing that I have an issue with there. So I kind of wonder if that means that I can never be in a relationship, because I'm never going to know if someone's a narcissist because
bring them on and
you know what,
and introduce us.
I want to address this with Kristen if we can.
I wanted to say something too. Yeah.
Nobody wants to be hoodwinked, Kristen. I was hoodwinked into a cult. The leader was a narcissist. He fed on us. He controlled us with his, little Svengali little webs he would weave with 3 and 4 hour sermons. And, nobody wants to be hoodwinked. Nobody wants that. And, but,
And you kind of got to wonder if that's what keeps us in the cults, because we don't want to think that we've been told the wrong thing all this time.
Yeah.
Because, most people aren't stupid, most people don't.
Right.
Majoritively, people are very intelligent.
Yeah.
So there's super intelligent people who end up in this situation.
It has nothing to do with intelligence or anything like that. Just because you got hoodwinked by a narcissist. But
the feeling.
They're very good.
If you know that you're not stupid, but you're fallen into this, it's a lot to work through.
It is a lot. It is a lot.
But I want to say this. Let me challenge your thinking on that. You weren't hoodwinked.
Yeah.
You were a pure, empathetic, compassionate, healthy person.
Yes.
Who's seen somebody. Yes. Who's seen somebody that you thought you could help, that you thought you could build a life with. You seen a lie, but you weren't hoodwinked. You weren't led down the primrose path.
That's a much better way. And that's the truth. That is the truth.
Yes. Because
we believe what was presented to us.
Yes. And, when you're presented a lie, I could sit here and tell y'all I'm 6 foot tall. Now, when you see me and you're like, you better stand on a box so we can say hi and shake hands. That's a whole different thing. Right, exactly. But, I want to encourage you, please don't see yourself as hoodwinked. Because no, you were compassionate and loving. Yeah. You went in with the purest of intentions because of what was presented to you.
Yes.
So and I want to encourage you too, your therapist knows a narcissist. So if she's saying this, what's happening if you are preventing yourself from believing this because you feel you were hoodwinked? What's going to happen, Kristen, is that's going to prevent you from healing and moving forward to live your best life in the way that you need to and you can. And, don't deny yourself that healing, because that is really important. You have to face what it was. And I want to say to Misha, yes, there are healthy relationships. There are very healthy relationships. There's a lot of them out there. It's just sometimes they're harder to see, but they do exist. And I want to say this, fighting is healthy. Michael and I fight, we argue, but you know what? We sort ourselves out and we come out the other side and we've learned from it. We've grown, So I want to encourage everybody. Yes, there are healthy lives and healthy people, healthy choices, healthy things. I know a lot of people who have amazingly wonderful, healthy relationships. And I know a lot of people who were involved in narcissists and everything else. And then, come out the other end and we're good.
Yes.
I do find it interesting that Robert J. Lifton, he was one of I think he was Harvard or Stanford doctor of psychology. He was doing a lot of work in early cults, and one of the things that he would write into a lot of his documentation was the term narcissist or cult were interchangeable, and it makes sense because it's interchangeable behavior, really, when you get down to the way Scientology behaves versus a narcissist, the way a lot of cults do versus a narcissist. I just thought that was interesting.
Rebecca,
that is interesting. I've never heard that. Sorry, go ahead.
I want to hear from you and see what you're up to.
Yeah, Rebecca, hey.
Yes.
Hello. Sorry. just work.
Okay.
It's longer.
Okay.
Larger break. Working later, so makes getting here a little harder, because before I would work until 4 and I might leave a little early or be working but still be here, kind of thing. And that's a little harder now, but no, I'm doing pretty good. I had a really good therapy session with my therapist on Monday, which is some stuff that I would like to share at some point, but doesn't need to be now.
Okay.
And I wanted to tell Cosmic, I'm learning how to trust myself to pick people who are not narcissistic. So there's certain things that I now look for.
Yeah.
Are they someone who considers the feelings of others? And there's ways you can like talk about, I mean, it could be just talking about something going on in the news, and you can find out how much compassion they have for the people in that situation. And I use those kinds of things as indicators of what's in that person's heart. How they take, you know, how do they treat other people if you know them from a group? How do they treat wait staff?
Yeah.
You know,
how do they treat animals?
They treat people in service.
Yeah.
Yes, how they treat animals. All of those things to me are indicators of what kind of a person they are.
Yeah.
And if they're rude to wait staff, even if it was bad service, there's a way to do it.
Yeah.
But if they're still rude to wait staff, that's to me an indicator of part of who they are, because they won't be able to hide it indefinitely.
That's true.
And there's a certain portion of trusting yourself. I think the hard part is going in and then I look, what are the red flags?
Yeah.
Yes,
kind of upfront.
Well, my friends tell me that I turn all red flags to purple because I just add a bit of blue in there. I don't see red flags. That's my problem. I just don't see them because I myself am a walking, talking red flag. There's so much about me. And, but I think is, I know. Oh no, I really am.
I agree.
If you move my forks,
I would call you on that.
Yeah, no, you can. But see,
you know me. I'm going to call you on that. You're not. Everybody's coming from somewhere. Everybody's got history. Everybody's got. You're not a walking red flag. You're a good, kind, and caring, and loving, and an amazing person who's got so much to offer the world. You are not a walking red flag.
But I've also got red flags.
It's hilarious, but you're really not.
I heard the other day that red flags are different depending on the person. Like a red flag to one person isn't necessarily a red flag to the next. So, Christy, you might be somebody's walking green flag. I'm sure you are, as a matter of fact. There you go.
Well, as long as I'm red for now, because stay away. But it's like but the thing is, I also have to take responsibility in my own behavior. That's, you know, I do know that if someone moves my forks around and puts them where the spoons are supposed to go, I'm going to be mad about that for like, you know, a full day until whoever did it puts it back. And that's not okay. You know, I know that's a problem I've got within myself, that things have to be in a certain place. But that's not something that is a deal breaker, I don't think, unless it's someone's really uptight about their forks. Yeah, exactly. We shouldn't endure those folks.
Well, you know, when I see the red flags, I just think it's a carnival, and I go get in line. So that used to be me.
When it comes to wait staff, I still like the line from My Blue Heaven. It's not tipping I believe in; it's over tipping.
Yes.
You know, try to leave stuff for them, and because these people have a hard.
Oh yeah. That's it.
Up with it, and,
Well, see, I never complain unless it's McDonald's, because I used to work at McDonald's, but I'm never rude about it. But if they make my burger wrong, I'll be like, you forgot the pickles.
So there's a difference between like just saying you
forgot the pickles and throwing it back in their face. Yeah.
Well, see, and being really kind about it, and really rude.
Well, see, I don't ask for a whole new burger. I'm like, can you just put the pickles on? Usually it's a sliced tomato, but anyway. But it's just there's always a way of doing things with a little bit of kindness, I think, and that's even talking to people who you don't like. Yeah, do it with kindness, and then they'll walk away going, why don't I like it? Why is what? Yeah.
Listen, sister, don't you bare your teeth at me. Now you act like somebody.
Oh, you freaking up the WWF and the furry herd.
Oh, Lord. Sweetie started doing this thing where she goes, and I'm like, no. You're alive because of me.
She might be smiling. That might be her way of smiling.
No.
You smile at your dog.
Oh, okay.
She's like,
oh, Tara.
yeah, no, she's not smiling. She's being sassy pants, Miss Three-Legged sassy pants over here. I am going to have to get off here because they are going nuts and it's time for them to eat. I did have, if I could make one little announcement, I wanted to make an announcement. I am going to be doing true crime on Friday, and I'm going to have Tommy as my guest on my channel to help me talk about it.
Right on.
So,
That's
so
awesome.
you will, so you will see that. But yeah, so I just wanted to kind of
Can
announce
we
that.
have who you're going to be on so we can do some research?
It's going to be on Sean Combs. What's going on with that whole thing?
Okay.
And
Who's that?
it will P
Who's
Diddy.
Sean Combs?
A P Diddy.
Oh, that.
Yes, that.
Yeah.
And it will be at 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock. No, I'm lying. 1 o'clock my time. 10 o'clock Pacific.
Okay. Can you do me a favor? Can you throw a block of cheese at YouTube? Because I have not been getting notifications. So if you could just beat them down a little bit, just to make sure I get my notification.
I will. And I'll get the turkey leg. All right. But you act right. Okay. I gotta go. I'm going to have a mutiny on my hands. Love you all.
Great to see you, Casey.
I say not my circus, not my monkeys. I'm so wise. It's not my saying though. I think it's like some thing. That's actually my box breathing thing. I breathe in, not my circus, breathe out, not my monkeys.
Or I visualize
I think
there's the breathing in positive, good energy and light, and breathing out all the negative and the worst, the horrible stuff for the day. And then, alternately, if I'm doing 3 box breaths, the very last one, I'm breathing out positive energy to everybody else because I want to send that to the world.
I'll breathe on you like it's COVID. Positive.
You just can't do that around. You just can't do that around high school boys because you breathe in, all you smell is Axe.
Oh, that's the worst. A little bit of Axe is okay, but it's like, what is it with people who wear Axe that just like douse themselves in it?
Yeah.
I just call it a shower. That's how they shower.
They probably have the scent. Whatever, I can't remember what they call it when you no longer smell the perfume anymore. I don't know what that's called.
Yeah, they think it wears off, but yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Well,
we
as women, we put this stuff on and we don't realize how strong it is because we're used to it. But we can walk like. I get into the car after putting it on. And everyone's like, I'm like, what's your problem? Get out.
Way back in high school, I used to do that with Brute by Fabergé.
Oh, Brute.
That was horrible stuff. I mean,
Brute.
It sounds
I liked Brute at
my brother
a time because my boyfriend wore it.
My brother wore Brute. So I was like, ugh, Brute. That's my bros. It's very unattractive on anyone.
Yeah.
Then again, there's Old Spice. Every now and then you
She's got
smell
her
that.
own
It
channel.
like takes me back to like my dad.
Yeah.
Oh, my dad smelled like oil in cars.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I don't like that now either. Christy's got her own channel. Hey, Kenneth? It was posted down there.
Oh, okay. Yes, she does have her own channel. It's called Conversations with Christy. Awakened by the Looking Glasses Reflection. Just put a link, a few messages up there.
Yeah, and if you type it in, you've got to put it in like into YouTube. Put it all in as one word. Conversations with Christy. Otherwise, you come up with that politician guy. I found. I can't think what his name is. He's a politician of some sort. What's you listen to, Ben?
Headbanging, some metal music.
Eternity. Is that like a scent? Eternity?
In that
It is
Calvin
a
Klein?
perfume. Yeah, it is a perfume.
I think Rebecca really likes Tool, Rage Against the Machine.
I do.
I do too.
Your laugh is not safe around me, Missy.
You know that in Rage Against the Machine, that
though my all-time favorite is Rush.
I won't do it. You tell me to
is
do that 17 times at the last bit of the song because I used to play it on the school bus and round up everybody. And we had to cough whenever it swore. So it would be like, you won't do what you tell me. I'll be like, okay, now on the bus, because the bus driver was like, you can play whatever you want. There's not allowed any swearing. So we covered all the swearing and the violent femmes and Tool and all that sort of stuff. Like, well, actually, it was Rage Against the Machine. But yeah, it was fun. I had the best bus driver. I used to write notes for everybody at the back of the bus because I had the handwriting. I could copy signatures. Probably illegal.
You were just
Don't do it anymore. Don't do it anymore.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah.
Well, what do you guys think? Have we had a meeting?
Yeah, I thought you want to hear the end of the story of Misha's.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's just about perfume, I think.
Oh, okay.
Huge bottle of
At Brahms.
Back in the day, let's see if I can get this to come up here. Back in the day when I was a teen, we were all silly, and I had just bought a huge bottle of it. It was in my purse still. We all ran to the men's room, Brahms, because the ladies was locked, like 5 of us.
They're actually.
I'm picturing a catastrophe.
I used to. I've got my best friend's mum. She makes essential oils, and for anything that's ever wrong with you, she's got a mixture. So she's curing my autism and my ADHD by essential oils right now.
Yeah, there you go. Hilarious. That's great.
But it's like it's a smell. The smells are very comforting of it, so it does actually help.
Right on. Yeah.
Liquid crazy.
Awaken just put in a reply.
That's a good way to be remembered. By your scent. I bet, Misha. Everything's always better told, not through text.
Oh, man.
It's still awesome.
I used to think when your pen broke, that was the worst thing in the world. Ink over everything.
Oh, yeah.
Or lipstick in your purse.
Yeah.
I've had that.
Yeah.
Never had that problem. I don't have
it. Or your
eyeshadow
breaks and gets the powder all over your purse. Yeah.
I have that problem on my floor behind my table. It fell behind my table. So that's when I move my table problem.
I never had that problem, but the only problem I have is I've got a big chaw of red in your mouth loaded with spit, be driving my truck and you sneeze and it'd be hanging from the mirror. It's like, awesome.
That is a problem.
The actual smells out or the perfume?
This is a good day.
It's wonderful to see you here, Tara.
It's nice to be here. It's nice to see you too, Rebecca. I was thinking of you. I was like, where has she been? I didn't know you got a new job. So it's nice to see you too.
Well, it's not actually a new job. It's not even a change in roles. It's just different hours.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And Tara's got an amazing channel.
Yeah, it just makes it harder to join.
If you haven't seen it. Tara's channel.
What? No,
Tara's channel. She does really cool talks.
Oh yes, I love Tara's channel.
Thank you. Lots of changes happening lately. Lots of changes. I'm not going to be going live on Wednesdays anymore, just Mondays, so that I can make more videos and kind of shift my focus to the peer support business side of things. And I'm developing my own agency right now. So I have a lot of work to do on that, and the 2 live streams per week. I know, Carol, you're really inspiring. You do it every day, but I just cannot sustain even twice a week right now. So
I am going to have to maybe go to Monday through Friday because it was starting to affect my marriage. My husband has been frustrated almost every day that, we can't get a project started around here because as soon as we get into it, I'm going to have to stop and do the meeting and all that kind of stuff. And so I am deciding to give him the weekends at least. It's the very least I can do,
That sounds like a really good balance, because I don't know how you've been doing it, quite honestly, even 2 days. And I host a Discord meeting on Thursday nights also. And so between those 3 things, it's just like I don't have time for anything else that I want to
Yeah.
develop and do. And I haven't even
Right.
been posting videos. So I appreciate the compliment though.
Yeah.
People who said they like it. I know not everybody probably likes it, but I enjoy doing it. And I'm looking forward to kind of ramping things up now that I'm giving up Wednesdays.
Yeah, and we can work around you, Carol. I mean, you know, this is
just
your
for the
meeting.
weekends. Yeah. Yeah. And you know, and I realize too, it doesn't, if he's not happy, it's hard to be in the same house with somebody who's frustrated like that. And it seems so unnecessary to, you know, make him live that way.
Yeah. And it probably makes
and you have to nurture the marriage too. Or it won't, I mean, if you don't nurture it, it doesn't succeed.
That's right.
And
That's
it's just
right.
like
absolutely support you.
100%. And it's just like other things in my experience, like if I'm trying to surf, for example, but I don't know how I'm going to pay my bills next month, it's just not the same. So I would imagine that is that your experience with live streaming, Carol?
As far as you know, the marriage suffering is a result of
exactly.
this
Is it like
taking precedence?
Oh
yeah, it was just gnawing and nagging at me. Yeah.
Things are a lot less fun and beneficial if, you know, it's not beneficial for all concerned.
You know what? And yeah, that's probably not a bad idea either, Kristen. I think we've been doing a lot better lately, keeping the meetings, you know, within 1 to 1.5 hours. And that does help. You know, it gives, when he's here, it does give me a little bit of time while there's still daylight. Right now he's not here, so that's kind of why I'm allowing the meeting to go a little longer, because he went out to do some errands and stuff. But so happy that you're taking time to be with Steve. We need to keep as many good relationships together as we can. The world needs them. Yeah, you're right.
And there's always
so right.
like Stasia runs the meetings really, really well. You know, if you ever need a break that's a little bit longer.
She really does. Yeah, 100%.
I couldn't do it. And
and you
I
too,
couldn't do
Rebecca.
it. I'm a good person to be on as well, but I couldn't do it myself because I'd be sitting there going, so I don't have anything to say.
But you and Ben also have been stellar in coming in when I need you, and I really appreciate you guys so much for that.
Well, take some more time off. Recovery, peer support can't be an everyday thing all the time, I think.
Right.
You know, even though I've made my job, I have the ability. I don't have anything else to do. So it's for me to survive at this, I'm basically recovery is my job.
Right. And biggest reason for burnout in peer support is lack of self-care, number one. And number two, trying to solve people's problems. They're not our problems to solve. So I also think it's wonderful that you're wanting to do that self-care, spend more time with your husband. I wish I had a husband to spend time with, but I do not.
You know what? I was 21 years between marriages.
I've never been married before. No kids, never been married. So
I'm still married.
And it was the first marriage was the loneliest endeavor I've ever embarked on. It really, you know, there's something about being with somebody and they just put you up on a shelf. And I was really, really lonely in that thing. And so I know the different. I've experienced both a really, really bad marriage, and now I've got a really, really good marriage, and I really want to keep it that way.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
And
I aspire to be like you,
too.
Carol. I said I aspire to be like you.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, I really do. I do look up to you, and I have to hop off soon, but I want to leave you with I have to hop off now. Actually, I got to run. I volunteer in like 20 minutes, but I want to leave you with this thought before I get off. Just let you know how much I do look up to you, how much your presence here on YouTube, even though I don't always get on, like when I can be in the chat, I'm really watching you to see kind of like how you operate and how you maintain your sobriety, and you're just so full of like love and support for people, and it doesn't go unnoticed. You're absolutely appreciated.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's good to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope to be able to show up to some more of these in the near future, just to be around and socialize.
Yeah.
It's nice to feel kind of like I didn't feel like I needed a meeting, but I just wanted to kind of be social and participate, and that feels like progress. So
right on. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, it's nice to see everybody, and hopefully talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Yes. Have a good night.
Thanks. You too. If I can figure out how to leave. Okay, there we go.
It's not just me. It's not just me. Sorry, I evil laughed.
No, that's
I love it when
good.
a meeting has a good mix of talking about serious stuff and we can still laugh too. I love it when that happens. We did that today. That's cool.
It is. And there's something, Carol, and it's something to think about. Maybe if you would like, I could host Sunday.
Okay.
If something, I usually Sundays I don't necessarily have something. I might nap, but I'll set a timer.
Okay.
For myself.
I'm definitely down if somebody still wants to have a meeting and somebody else is willing to host it, because I know it's kind of disappointing if you count on something being there and it's it might be a day you really need it and you really need to vent or just whatever it may be, anything. And so I appreciate that offer very much. And I may take you up on it.
Sounds
okay.
Good. But I'll let you guys go. It's great to have a good night.
Good to see you too. So good to see you.
Bye.
Bye. Ben, I love your insight. You don't chime in much, but when you do, it's always a golden nugget. It really is. So yeah, don't sell yourself short there. You're laughing, but no, for real. For real.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And I think that I really do admire how much work you have to put into stuff like this, because it's one of those things where people don't come on. You have to have something you're going to talk about, and that is not easy.
Yeah.
It really isn't. It's like, holy crap, what the heck?
Well, I've kind of always been in a social situation. I've always been kind of like, maybe not the ringleader, but I'm a good come alongsider. And so, I just really wanted this to be, where I can interact and contribute, as opposed to having to, be the main thing. I would bore myself stiff, I think.
Oh, yeah. It really, I mean, anybody can get up and do a YouTube once or twice, but after that, you start like, what the hell do I talk about? And before you know it, it's like, okay, here's how you pick boogers. Something like that.
Oh my goodness.
So easy to run out of stuff. But yeah, just remember, narcissists aren't wolves in sheep's clothing. They're wolves in a U-suit. So it'd be easy to spot otherwise. But
yeah,
I hope you have yourself a
hope you do too.
Awesome day, and I hope
you too, Ben.
I got a quick. What about a quick donkey update? Is he still?
We had a little situation the other day where he was chasing the goats, but I don't know if you know this, but one of my does gave birth to a couple of kids, and that kind of made him a little crazy for a minute. But I went out there and did my stomp around thing, like F around and find out, and
Oh, I'm glad you're able.
It's a thing. It's a thing. We have to establish. No, I feed your ass. I'm the dominant animal here.
Well, if you ever do a steel cage match, let me know. It could be interesting. But I do hope you have a great day.
You too.
How do I get out of here? There.
There is nothing worse than being in a lonely marriage, rather be lonely alone. That's why I was 21 years between marriages. I felt exactly the same way. It's like, I have a lot of things I used to say about that, but well, let's just say I used to say a long time ago, yeah, I think I don't want to go through another divorce. I think I'd rather go to jail for murder. But that's not really funny. But at the time, I thought it was hilarious because it was a really bitter, ugly, nasty divorce, and I was railroaded pretty hard in it. And anyway, that's enough of that. Thanks you guys so much. I love this meeting. I love you guys. I love all that you bring here. It's an amazing thing. Yeah. And hope to see you again next meeting. And until then, peace, y'all.